Alright, so the first step in getting your video into the computer is you have to import it. So let's talk about that. You're going to start off, and your video right now is still on the camera, and more specifically it's on the SD card. And when you open this up, it's going to turn on. Before you pull the SD card out, you're going to want to turn the camera off. Do that by hitting the on-off button right there. Okay, it says task in progress, and then it shuts off. Okay, then I'm going to open this little door, hard to see in this video I know, and I'm just going to push this SD card out. It kind of pops out, and there's my SD card. Alright, these cameras, by the way, are pretty much bricks without the SD cards. Now let's talk about SD card management real quick. If you pull the SD card out of the computer or out of the camera when the camera hasn't been shut off, or you haven't safely disengaged the SD card from the computer, you risk damaging your files. You probably won't hurt the SD card or the SD card reader or even the camera, but you can hurt your files, which you probably care about. So make sure you use the proper process. So for instance, before I take it out of the camera, I'm going to turn the camera off so I don't hurt the data on my SD card. The data on your SD card equals your film. You don't want to damage that. Okay, so now I've got the SD card out of the camera. I'm going to put it into our handy dandy little SD card reader. Okay, there's a slot labeled SD. That's the one you want. There's only one way it will go in easily. So if it doesn't go in easily, flip it upside down. The other way is correct. Okay, and now I'm going to plug it into the computer. Anchor side up. Again, it won't go in the other way, so if it doesn't go in easily, it's upside down, flip it around. It's going to be very important. You have to put them in the top slot. It won't work in the other ones, I don't think, but we made sure it works in the top slot, so USB 1. If your computer is upside down, put it in the bottom slot, because that's actually the top slot. Okay, so I get this message on my screen. It's giving me a bunch of different options for what I want to do. I want to choose the option Open Folder to View Files. Once I've done that, I'm going to see two folders in here, Private and DCIM. You want the one that says DCIM. Double click that. Inside the DCIM file will be some other folders. One of them will be some numbers. It's actually that one you want. You want the one with numbers. And you will notice I happen to have 3 video files because for the Kuleshov project you will have shot 3 videos. You may have shot more, but you'll have at least 3. Alright, and they're named MVI 001, 002, 003. Okay, not very great names. We're just going to set that aside for now, because our goal here is to get the files from your SD card into your folder on the server. So we got to open your folder on the server. So to do that, I'm going to go down, go to computer. This is one of the ways to get there. Go to computer, and I see one labeled E. Holson. That's me. So I'm going to open up my folder. In my folder, a whole bunch of stuff, but one of them should be Adobe. Cool. I'm going to open one that says Adobe, one that says Premiere Pro, and the one that says 12.0. And I'm in the Adobe folder. And then I'm going to right click, and I'm going to make a new folder. And I'm going to call this folder Kuleshov, Kuleshov Project. Okay, why? I want to be nice and organized so that later when I have a whole bunch of video files, it's easy to find. That's why. So, Kuleshov Project. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and open that folder. So now I'm in my Kuleshov Project folder, which of course is empty. And I'm going to go back to my SD card. And I'm going to click and highlight all 3 of those files. And drag them over into my Kuleshov Project folder, which is on the server. Boom, there they go. All my files are on the server, just where I want them. At this point, I can now close the SD card window. I'll leave that window open for now. But I want to take the SD card reader out because someone else might need it. Here's the proper way to do that. you're going to go down to this little triangle symbol down here, show hidden icons, and there's one that has like a USB stick and a green check mark. And I mouse over, it says safely remove hardware and eject media. That's what I want to do. So I click that button, and it'll show me the media that's attached, which is really just, there's an eject Canon. Click that. Canon, it's calling it Canon because Canon is the camera, and the Canon camera is what initialized that SD card, so it thinks the SD card's name is Canon. Alright, it now tells me safe to remove hardware. Perfect. And now I just yank it out with no worries that I've destroyed the data on my SD card. Alright, so now the next thing we want to do is we want to get those files into Premiere so we can work with them. So let's do that. First step, open Premiere. So I'm going to go down to the bottom left-hand corner of the Start menu, and I'm going to find Premiere, Adobe Premiere, and I'm going to click on it so that that application opens up. And here it comes. The first time your computer opens it, it might take a little while and it might give you a funny screen. I'll show you what it should look like when you're going the right way. Okay, so this is the screen you want for starting projects, downloading stuff, etc., etc., etc. And I'm just going to click on the button that says New Project and ignore anything else. New Project. Now I'm going to give this project a title. I'm going to call it Kuleshov. No, I'm going to call it Kuleshov Project. Okay, you can start every project with your name and then what the project is. That'll really help us in grading it so we know who's who's. It's kind of like putting your name at the top of the paper. Okay, now there's a bunch of other things on here, and I'm not going to worry about any of it. I'm going to look at the location though. See where it says location, and I see that this is putting it not exactly where I want it. So I'm going to browse, and I'm going to go to that folder I created. This is Kuleshov Project. Click on it, and I'm going to say select folder. Okay, because, and this is really important, when you're working in Premiere, you really need to keep track of where the files are. Premiere does not actually import the files into your Premiere project file. It actually just has links to them, and if it can't find the links, you can't work on your video. So you have to really keep track. So your Premiere project and your video files need to end up in the same folder so that the Premiere can find those files and work on it. So that's why I'm being real careful about where I put everything. Okay, so I'm making sure that the Premiere project file goes into the Kuleshov Project folder that I have all the clips in, and once I feel that I've got that all right, I'm going to click OK, and I'm in Premiere. Alright, now next thing I'm going to need to do, I need to actually import these files into Premiere so I can work with them. So I'm going to go up to File, and I'm going to go to Import, which is kind of 2/3 of the way down. And hopefully it actually put me in my Kuleshov Project folder, which is exactly where I want to be. So I can see that my Kuleshov Project Premiere file and my 3 video files are all in the same folder, which is exactly what I want. So now I'm going to click on, and I'm going to shift click on those 3 files, the video files. I'm going to say open, and it's going to tell me it's importing those files. And there they are. There's my 3 videos that I shot for my Kuleshov project, and we're ready to start editing.